Welcome on in, guys. Tobin here with you, and thanks for checking out the channel. If you guys could subscribe, that'd be great. Appreciate you stopping by, and I hope you're doing well out there. You can also subscribe and watch the Tobin and Leroy show, which is on the WQAM YouTube page. Miami 560 WQAM. I always put that in the description, so go check us out there, everybody. Tua spoke to the media today. First time Tua's spoken all off season. Got some insight onto his hip, which he said started feeling better in around February. And I think the most interesting thing, he had a couple of things that he pointed out today, but there were a couple of things that really stood out. And the first one is probably the most important because it's not just hocus pocus opinion of vibes. And that is that, he's spent this offseason projecting and figuring out how, once again, to protect himself. Not something that he hasn't done before. This was a whole thing back when the jiu-jitsu classes were a big deal, and I quite frankly don't know why he went away from it. I don't know if it was one of those things that made him feel uncomfortable because people thought it was goofy or he thought it was goofy. I thought it was an awesome idea. I was all for Tua doing jiu-jitsu, looked like it had the great rolls. And then something happened along the way where he has the contract, he plays a full season, and I just felt like the one misstep from Tua was there was just a little bit of arrogance. Okay, now it's my way. And I just think that that's crazy when you're talking about a guy who's had so many durability issues to go out there and just throw out something that has worked, that has gotten you to that point, and you're like, nah, I want to be slimmer, I want to move around, I want to be elusive, and I just never understood it. I'm like, dude, that's not your thing. You're small, you're not fast, you're not elusive. And the thing that's even crazy about it is he would say things last year like, because of what happened at Alabama, he goes, yeah, I'm never going to be what I was there. Like, people can sit here and dive through all the highlight films and all that stuff. Cool, dude. But the most important thing is for that guy to sit in the pocket and make on-time throws and to be available for his team. And so the one thing that I'm glad with is Mike McDaniel today and Tua both echoed the sentiment, I got to be there for my team long term and not let myself get lulled into a place where I'm hurt and I'm not as effective as that player like that. Because that is a recipe for disaster. If you don't have Tua Tagovailoa available, your season is screwed. So I'm happy to know that that is one of those things that is on top of the old noodle. And we can just get away from this nonsense. And look, for anybody who's like, well, you can't play football like that, bull crap, you can't. Like, I don't understand this. Like, we're going to sit here on the odd chance that Tua has to get through a third one. First of all, the team's not good at it anyway. Like, let's see a team that's actually built to go get short yardage and succeed in places like that. But every time this dude gets hurt, it is him throwing himself into danger. Every time. Whether it was what got his hip crunched or what got his concussion on Thursday Night Football, he puts himself in bad positions, and it has to stop. It's tough. I get it. He's competitive. That's what I like about him. He's a dog. He's been through a lot. He's shown a lot of toughness, but he also's got to be smart. He has to be smart, and he has to be available. And, you know, people can have whatever opinion they want on him. You want him gone. Whatever, dude. I'm not here to debate that. Let's talk about what the actual facts of the season are. You're not getting a new quarterback. Zach Wilson sucks. He ain't taking over for him. Quinn Ewers ain't taking over for him. And if you think that that's going to happen, you're high as a kite and out to lunch. So let's talk about the task at hand, which is what's the most important thing for the Miami Dolphins this season? It is that man staying healthy, keeping himself protected, and being able to live to fight the next play. That's it. There is no more. Everything else is just a silly talking yourself into a take or whatnot. This is not to say that he's the perfect quarterback. He certainly has things to prove. those are all those are all obvious that he's got to get those clutch late wins against quality opponents. Primetime Tua has to improve, of course. As a supporter of the quarterback, which I still find is a weird thing. Like, you have to declare yourself like an eligible receiver. I'm like, Tua supporter, which is weird when you're rooting for the Dolphins. You just figure you could just root for the quarterback. But because everything's got to be a thing and everything's got to be a take, let's just be where it's at right now. And what it needs to be is, he's got to be able to keep himself right and healthy, and that's important. And so I hope that recognition goes a long way. Now, the other thing that he pointed out today, which I don't know what's real, I don't know what's not, but he said today, I think that we have the right guys in this locker room. Been here for 5-6 years, and you're not tired of what we've done over these last 5 years. It's like, I think everybody's sick of it. Like, that to me is like one of those things where it's like, all right, I'm sure everybody's sick of it, and everybody is tired of hearing about the talk, because he said this on the follow-up of an idea where he said that he feels there is, quote, a culture shift. I really do feel in my heart that there's a change of scenery for our guys in the locker room. He also talked about the idea that he has been spending a ton of time with his teammates off the field, to the point where he's even annoying his wife. All that stuff is goosies galore. You love that from your quarterback, that he's hanging out with everybody, that harmony is all there. What has happened to embolden this culture change? I don't know. I mean, like, you look at it and you think, like, all right, who's gone? Javon Holland, Jalen Ramsey. You would think Teron Armstead and Calais Campbell are culture guys. Jordan Poyer. You had a lot of talk from the Poyer camp that the Dolphins' culture sucked, was toxic. So I don't know what's changed to get it to this point where Tua feels in his heart that it's all better. Maybe he's confident that the Tyreek Hill drama is not going to be a factor this year, and that Tyreek Hill, who, by the way, I mean, looks unbelievably slim. If you've seen these media day photos that have gone around of him, really, really skinny. But it seems to me that whatever vibe issues that there were, Tua seems to think that those things are gone. Now, it may not matter. Just because the vibes feel better, pads go on, your offensive line has to go protect. If they suck and they can't keep this guy healthy, then could be curtains. This is not an offensive line that has a ton of proven studs on it. There's some hope that some guys will come back from injury and be what they are. But you got a rookie left tackle. You're going to have a rookie guard. Austin Jackson's coming back from injury. Hopefully, he can remain healthy and be the dog you need him to be. Daniel's coming off the Achilles. And then Brewer, I think everybody's pretty happy with the center and where things are at there. But I don't know. It's tough to gauge on that. And maybe this is also there's a lot of talk once again. Waddle's having an awesome camp, and I will say, and I say this as a guy who loves Jalen Waddle, all right, even though he's teasing us taking away the Waddle, that I feel like the last 3 years the star of the offseason has been Jalen Waddle. He needs to prove that on the field, right? And it feels very much like he gets to skate on that stuff more than Tua, more than Tyreek does, because he's like the third wheel and all that. And that's kind of that's the deal. Like, he doesn't get as much headlines. He seems like he's got everything buttoned up, so he's not in the headlines for the wrong reasons like Tyreek Hill, and he's not the most high-profile guy like Tua is. But this is 3 straight years we've heard, Jalen Waddle's having the best off season, and apparently was killing it in camp today. I wasn't there, wasn't boots on the ground, I was on the air, so I'll take people's words for it, and I'm sure that he was awesome. I hope that he is awesome this year. But, that's not exactly a story that people haven't heard before, is that Jalen Waddle's having an amazing offseason. Now, the Bombski that they showed to Malik Washington, that was Goosey's galore. I'm excited to see what Malik Washington can do. This guy just seemed like ball in his hands, electric stuff happens. So if there is going to be a taker, not to here to say that he's going to be cheater replacement, but if there is going to be a taker for Tyreek, if they are grooming him in the right way to take over for Tyreek Hill, that's an exciting proposition that you have somebody waiting in the wings. And so seeing that Bombski and to him at the point, like, hey, we haven't done a lot of that. We haven't done a lot of the deep balls, me and Malik Washington. That was pretty cool. So I love that Tua's putting the emphasis on protecting himself. I'm glad that he's finding new deep connections. The whole culture thing, look, it's very clear the Dolphins know that they had a problem last year. And they seem to think Jalen Ramsey was part of the issue, or maybe that's thinking that he's part of the issue is part of what has caused this rift with the coach. And man, Mike McDaniel's ornery talking about Jalen Ramsey. He's like dropping curses. He talks about Jalen Ramsey like he feels betrayed by Jalen Ramsey. And I don't know that Jalen Ramsey did betray him. I don't know. But I'm just saying his perception seems to feel like he feels hurt and betrayed by it because it seems personal, which is not something we've really had in the Mike McDaniel era. But he genuinely seems bothered anytime this is brought up. He's getting very, very snippy with reporters about it. So maybe that will help towards this culture change and getting everybody on the same page. But it's not like the entire house is cleaned out. So it is going to be upon the guys that are there to take the reins in the right way and steer the organization in the direction they want it to, with obviously winning being the most important thing that'll help you get there.